Hello everyone, DeckTrolls here. Today I have for you guys my Magician's Valkyria deck. And this is basically a kind of lockdown deck where if you have at least 2 copies of Magician's Valkyria, your opponent can't attack any face-up spellcasters you control. So the goal is just to get 2 Magician's Valkyria on the field and then do whatever other plays from there. So let's get into this. You got 3 Magician's Valkyria. Monsters your opponent controls cannot target face-up spellcaster type monsters for attacks except this one. Which means if there are 2, you can only attack this one, and this one says you can only attack this one. So they both basically can't be hit because of that effect. You got 3 Servant of Endymion. Pendulum effect. Each time a spell card is activated, place 1 spell counter on this card. When that spell resolves, you can remove 3 spell counters from this card to special summon both this card and 1 from your Pendulum Zone and 1 monster from the deck with 1000 or more attack that you can place a spell counter on, and if you do, place 1 spell counter on each. You can only special summon, its monster effect is you can only special summon Servants of Endymion once per turn this way. This card with a spell counter can attack directly. Once per opponent's turn, quick effect, you can discard 1 card, place a spell counter on each card you control that you can place a spell counter on. If this card in the monster zone is destroyed, you can place this card in the Pendulum Zone. Then place the same number of spell counters it had on the field as a monster. You got 3 Magister of Endymion. Its Pendulum effect. Each time a spell card is activated, place 1 spell counter on this card when that spell resolves. You can remove 3 spell counters from this card, special summon both this card from your Pendulum Zone and 1 face-up monster from your extra deck that you can place a spell counter on. And if you do, place 1 spell counter on each. You can only special summon Magister of Endymion once per turn. When this card declares an attack, you can place 1 spell counter on it. Once per opponent's turn, quick effect, you can remove 3 spell counters from your field, special summon 1 monster from your deck that you can place a spell counter on, and if this card in the monster zone is destroyed, you can place this card in your Pendulum Zone, then place the same number of spell counters on it that it had as a monster. You got 3 Summoner Monk. While this card is face up on the field, it cannot be tributed. If this card is normal or flip summoned, you can change this card to defense position. Once per turn, you can discard 1 spell, special summon 1 level 4 monster from your deck, but that monster cannot attack this turn. You got 2 Chocolate Magician Girl. Once per turn, you can discard 1 spellcaster type monster, draw 1 card. Once per turn, if this card is targeted for an attack, you can target 1 spellcaster type monster in your graveyard, except Chocolate Magician Girl, special summon it. Then change the attack target to it, and if you do, the attacking monster's attack becomes half its current attack. You got 2 Magical Undertaker. Flip effect. You can target 1 level 4 lower spellcaster type monster in your graveyard, special summon that target. Got 3 Mythical Beast Jackal King. Pendulum effect. If you have no cards in your other Pendulum Zone, you can destroy this card, and if you do, special summon 1 face-up Mythical Beast Pendulum monster from your extra deck, except Mythical Beast Jackal King. You can only use this effect of Mythical Beast Jackal King once per turn. Monster effect. Each time a spell card is activated, place 2 spell counters on this card when that spell resolves. Once per turn, when an opponent's monster activates an effect, quick effect, you can remove 2 spell counters from your field, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. You got 2 Geomancer of the Ice Barrier, a level 3 tuner. Discard 1 card and declare an attribute. This card cannot be selected as an attack target by monsters with that attribute. This effect can only be used once while this card is face up on the field. And lastly, for the monsters, 1. Dark Magician of Chaos. During the end phase, if this card was normal or special summoned during this turn, you can target one spell card in your graveyard and add it to your hand. You can only use this effect of Dark Magician of Chaos once per turn. If this card is destroyed by an opponent's monster, if this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, after damage calculation, banish the opponent's monster. If this face-up card would leave the field, banish it instead. Now for the spells, we got 2. Secret Village of Spellcasters. If you control a spellcaster type monster and your opponent does not, your opponent cannot activate spell cards. If you control no spellcaster type monsters, you cannot activate this spell card. You cannot activate spell cards. 1. Terraforming. Add 1 field spell from your deck to your hand. 3. Magical Dimension. If you control a spellcaster type monster, target 1 monster you control, tribute that target, then special summon 1 spellcaster monster from your hand. Then you can destroy 1 monster on the field. You got 3. Dwimmered Path. Target 1 spellcaster effect monster in your graveyard, add it to your hand. You can only activate 1 Dwimmered Path per turn. Got 2. United We Stand. The equipped monster gains 800 attack and defense for each face-up monster you control. And lastly, 2. Mage Power. The equipped monster gains 500 attack and defense for each spell and trap card you control. Now for the traps, we have 3. Magician's Circle. When a spellcaster type monster declares an attack, each player special summons 1 spellcaster type monster with 2000 or less attack from their deck in attack position. And lastly, 2. Magician's Defense. While you control a spellcaster type monster, any damage you take is halved. You cannot have the same damage twice this way. If this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can target 1 spellcaster type monster in your graveyard and special summon it. Now for the extra deck, we have 3. Arcanite Magician. Requires 1 tuner and 1 or more non-tuner spellcaster type monster. If this card is synchro summoned, place 2 spell counters on it. This card gains 1000 attack for each spell counter on it. You can remove 1 spell counter from your field, then target 1 card your opponent controls and destroy that target. Fun fact, you can use this effect more than once. Got 1. Trishula, Dragon of the Ice Barrier. Requires 1 tuner and 2 or more non-tuner monsters. When this card is synchro summoned, you can banish up to 1 card from each of your opponent's hand, field, and graveyard. This card in the hand... the card in the hand is chosen at random. And lastly, 1 Clearwing Synchro Dragon. Requires 1 tuner and 1 or more non-tuner monsters. Once per turn, when another level 5 or higher monster activates its effect on the field, quick effect, you can negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. Once per turn, when a monster effect is activated that targets 1 level 5 or higher monster on the field and no other cards, quick effect, you can negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. If this card effect destroys a monster, this card gains attack equal to the destroyed monster's original attack until the end of this turn. Alright guys, so that is my Magician's Valkyria deck profile. So, tell me what you think. What did you like? What did you dislike? What would you do to improve it? Please comment below. I like when you guys comment. And yeah, remember, I have 100 and plus budget-friendly decks, so there's going to be a lot of fun content coming your way. So please make sure to like and subscribe. Most importantly, have fun!